moving on to the next section, we will talk about coping therapies. And as for coping therapies, you have a few things which, like Okie religion, they don't really do much, but they do just a little bit. They get you enough just to get by. And I've tried all the coping therapies in the world, you know. I've been around hours on the internet, and there's all, miracle vitamins, they'll help you cure your tinnitus and do this and do that. And there's a lot of scams out there, people, and I just want you to know about that. A lot of scams. A ton of scams out there on the net wanting to sell you vitamins, mental hypnosis therapy, all these things. Now, I might admit hypnosis might work in cases where people are paying too much attention to their tinnitus. I notice if I try to pay attention to it, it'll get loud, but if you ignore it, it will get quieter. But as far as vitamins, there are a few I'd recommend. There's this site called The Arch, which look up tinnitus formula. It has something called tinnitus formula. It's got B vitamins and various things, and there's some out there on the market. You just have to try and see which multivitamin works, that's designated for tinnitus, that works best for you. I've taken some where you take it one day, and instead of your tinnitus being rated on a level from 1 to 10, 10 being the loudest and you can't hear anything, I'd say you could have as good results down to about a 3 or 4. So it can chop the level of the ringing in half, but it won't make it go away. There is no miracle pill that will just magically make your tinnitus go away. That's because there's problems with the inner ear, and I'll get in with that. Now the biggest thing that people say is they say to just ignore it. Because I have noticed myself, if you pay attention to the ring in the ears, yes, it will get worse, and it will stress you out, and you'll have a panic attack. It can get bad. As far as ignoring it, though, I do notice, though, that if I don't pay attention to it, the sound does kind of go down if you're not thinking about it. But it is kind of hard to ignore it because it never goes away, and that's the nightmare of it all. So as far as ignoring it, yes, it kind of helps, but it really doesn't do anything. But if it helps you, by all means, do it. You know, I notice that, like, if I'm watching television or something, I'm not really paying attention to it. Yeah, it doesn't bother me as bad. And they say with hypnosis, that's one thing that you can do is hypnosis. They say with hypnosis that you might be able to somehow quiet the tinnitus. So, and as far as our last solution goes, I'd have to say, if you're having trouble sleeping with tinnitus, you got a few options. Not very much. I can tell you that no matter what you do, if you put headphones on your ears, yeah, sound's not going to go away. My mother, she actually has it as well. And what she uses is, she uses a headset, sort of a Walkman or something like that, maybe some headphones to play like radio static at night, and she kind of turns it to the point where the radio static kind of matches her sound in her ears, which is, it's radio static is pure white noise, and it kind of cancels out the sound a little bit, or just kind of hypnotizes you where you'll fall asleep. Now, as far as that goes, we've tried a lot. You know, it's really difficult to wear headphones while you're asleep. I mean, you don't really want to turn the noise up so loud that obviously you're causing yourself more hearing damage, and it's going to make everything worse. So as far as that goes, I wouldn't recommend wearing headphones to sleep to try to mask out the sound, because it's just going to make things worse. Some people it works, but I don't think it'd be a good idea. As far as for sleeping, my biggest suggestion is a white noise generator. Now, some cell phones and even iPhones, they have white noise generator apps that you can get for them, that they will generate white noise and it'll just put you in a hypnosis, or pretty much mask out the sound so you're not hearing the tinnitus, but you're hearing the white noise and it's not quite as loud. So at least it's an alternative, you know. You still have to hear noise to get rid of the tinnitus, but it's not as bad. So it may be a more comforting sound than just all the time, you know. I'm sure all you out there know what that's like. As the biggest white noise generator that I recommend is one called Sleepmate by Marpeck. And they use this for office buildings and stuff and this and that. And I also recommend that you buy a alarm clock that has nature sounds on it, that has programmed nature sounds. And I found that if I played around with this, and also fans, box fans work great, just create a lot of white noise. And I found the more you get, I found that most noise that's generated from speakers that is not natural doesn't really cancel out tinnitus as well. But I noticed that stuff that is natural that generates more, I guess you could say, what's higher quality than natural sound than something making noise in a room. And I've noticed that a lot of office buildings have these white noise generators actually built into their systems and their ducts to kind of, you know, quiet down and make it so that not everybody's having to talk over each other. That's why you notice if you ever go in an office building, you won't hear much of your tinnitus when the AC's running. Now, same thing happens if you go near a waterfall or this or that, you know, or have water running. So you could try a fountain. I wouldn't say it'd do very much. My best suggestion is Sleepmate by Marpeck. They do a pretty good job. Next thing, probably second on your list, obviously, would be the alarm clock that could generate some sort of nature sounds, maybe like crickets or thunderstorms or stuff like that. It'll keep your mind off it. It takes your mind off it. And the biggest thing that you need to do is place these in your room or place of sleep, and don't put them right up by your head. Kind of place them in a general, like, kind of setting, like some higher above you, some lower. You just kind of have to experiment with the acoustics of the room. But if you get it just right, you'll sleep definitely soundly, and you won't have to deal with your tinnitus as much. And I noticed another thing, you might want to sleep on your back, because if you sleep on your side, then there won't be any sound going in one of your ears. And if you have tinnitus in both of them like I do, it can get pretty loud in that one ear, and it'll keep you awake. So when you're first dealing with that, yeah, it takes some getting used to the sound, and yeah, you'll be up for a few days. But as far as having trouble sleeping, the best sleeping aid that I can recommend, it's in Tylenol PM. There's an ingredient in there that's for sleeping, and it's hydrochloride. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but just look for the. Just go to your local pharmacy store and look up a sleeping aid. And my best suggestion is the one that is in the Tylenol PM. There's an ingredient in there that I would get in the pure form from your pharmacist. They'll be able to direct you to the sleeping aids, and that should help you a lot. There really is no need for a prescription sleeping aid unless your tinnitus is like so bad, you know, like you can't sleep. I mean, like unless it's like ridiculously loud. And there are some out there who I feel for you. You're really suffering right now, and hopefully this video will help you a little bit. So that's as far as it goes for the coping therapies. On to the next section. As far as the people go with serious tinnitus, there are some centers in the United States that have something called sound masking therapy, where they actually have developed a few hearing aids that do have white noise generators built into them that actually pump white noise into your ear to sort of cancel out the sound as much, so it doesn't bother you as much, so you don't have to focus on it as much. And I've noticed that helps a lot of people who have serious tinnitus problems, like you can't hear things in a room because there's so much tinnitus. Yeah, I would recommend those to those people, and that about covers my section here. And as far as the last section here, as far as the tinnitus, the treatment, the tinnitus that is associated with inner ear damage and permanent hearing loss or nerve damage, as far as there's a treatment or cure for that, there is, like I said, it's outpatient surgery where they can plant this electrode in your ear to get rid of the tinnitus and stop the nerve impulses to your brain, but this also damages all forms of hearing, so you'll pretty much be deaf from now on. So it is the last measure and final measure of getting rid of tinnitus, but it is final, so you will not hear, and that is not a good thing. But from what I have been thinking of myself, and I honestly wonder if I also have had some sort of hearing damage or permanent hearing loss from these problems that I have had with my tinnitus and the musculoskeletal problems. It took me to a point where I tried to ask the question about the inner ear hair cells in the inner ear to come up with a theory as to repair the inner ear cells. And this is something that has baffled scientists for ages. And as far as coming up with a valid cure for this, it is proven difficult for everyone. This is pretty much what I'm talking about, is the cure for deafness. Yeah, and if you could figure this out, it'd be the cure for any disease, blindness, anything. I mean, if you can figure out a way how to regrow the hair cells in the inner ear, you would technically cure deafness, and you, at the same aspect or method, you would be able to cure blindness as well. I mean, people would be able to regrow tissues in their body that they normally wouldn't be able to. I mean, even severed limbs and things like that. And I will cover that in another video, and I will present my theory to the world, and hopefully those pioneers out there might consider it. And it deals with stem cells, but I hope that you will all consider it. And that about concludes my video about tinnitus. So I hope it has all informed you, and I hope that you all find some proper treatment. I will include in some other videos some methods and specifics on each treatment of tinnitus, so that you may find the right doctors that you need to go to and find the proper diagnosis and treatment and possible cure for your disease, because diagnosing tinnitus is very, very difficult because there are so many things that could cause it. So I will leave that with you all now, and if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post below. Thank you. Bye-bye.